Alright, we're back with some more live commentary action. What do we got going on this time? It's looking pretty good. Bonus cards are okay. White Stork is amazing. Rainbow Lorikeet is proving to be really good in the Oceania expansion. Rufous Owl is a good bird. And we're going first here. We've got American Crow in the tray, so I'm looking to pair that with my White Stork. Gonna go with Wetland Scientist here. The Heron isn't a terrible bird either. Might be a good wetland option for some extra card draw. Can't go wrong with the Lorikeet here. Get some early food from the forest and transition into our grasslands here. Trying to figure out how to accommodate this Rufous Owl as well. Couple Nectar in the tray. And we're going to roll with this. Opponent keeps 3 birds. So I need to go with this Crow here. I want to grab that for my engine. I'm not going to spend the Nectar. Laughing Kookaburra in the wetlands for my opponent. They didn't grab the black red start. I was wondering if they might grab that. Those powers are pretty good in Oceania. Rainbow Lorikeet goes down. My opponent could be leaning on a potential wetland engineer. They could grab the red start and gain food off their Kookaburra. And they do draw cards. And I'm going to scoop up this Nectar here. Start building our stockpile for our big point birds. Opponent draws some birds. Flips the bird feeder with their Kookaburra. And after a lot of deliberation on this turn, I just had to take 2 more pieces of Nectar here. Stocking up on plenty of food. No Nectar on the reroll here, but we're doing okay on that. Opponent draws cards again. Here comes the White Stork, using all our Nectar. Bird feeder is full of fish and rats. Red-headed Woodpecker for my opponent in the Grasslands. Interesting play. Gonna lay some eggs here and get a card off the White Stork. And Piebald Grebe is a good card, but I don't think we're going to need it. Thinking about denying it from my opponent. Western Meadowlark is looking really good for our emerging grasslands. My opponent doesn't have any ground nests themselves right now, so we can take full advantage of that power. Going 2-0 on eggs. And my opponent scoops up the Cuckoo in the tray, revealing Barn Swallow. And I have to draw that. I will discard the egg here for an extra card. Corsican Nuthatch, decent bonus card bird. Really surprised my opponent's not going for that Piebald Grebe here. It makes me wonder if they don't have Killdeer or Franklin's Gull. They're waiting for round 2. They do have a fish. Here comes the Meadowlark. Gonna get that down and try to take advantage of its power as fast as possible here before my opponent can get ground nest down. Plenty of cards in hand. No goal for round 1. We'd have to make sure to get a wetland bird down here for the round 2 goal. Opponent lays eggs, preparing for their column 2 bird. So they don't even have a cup nest or a ground nest for their Cuckoo even. So even though they've played the Cuckoo, they can't punish me for taking my lay egg action here. So we're getting a lot of value. And there the White Stork reveals Purple Martin and Black Naughty, both cards I want. But I'm just going to secure this Martin here to really lock in a powerful grassland engine here, potentially. And that's going to give my opponent the opportunity to grab that black knotty. There's a Tui in the tray as well. That would be a good target for them to grab to copy my rainbow lorikeet. There's a chiffchaff in the wetlands, so that's a ground nest, so they'll be able to capitalize on the Meadowlark and from their Cuckoo as well. And they still have the potential to build out a decent wetland chiffchaff engine here. Here comes the crow. Be a good opportunity to gain some nectar from our lay egg action. I haven't really had the opportunity to leverage crows in the Oceania metagame, so I'm really interested to see if it can really pull its weight. And my opponent does grab the black knotty here. They tuck a couple cards. Having some second thoughts, I'm actually going to gain food here. Try to stack up on some nectar. Want a high volume of food to get all our birds down. And that one food per turn from the crow just isn't going to cut it. So now my opponent is gaining 2 eggs every time I activate my grasslands. If I choose to use the Meadowlark power, that is. Opponent draws cards again, so they're really digging for something. It makes me think that their cards in hand aren't that great, and they're really trying to find something amazing here. Got to get the wetland bird down for the round goal. And we have to work on building out our nest infrastructure to accommodate all the eggs that I want to lay here as the game progresses. Going to use a worm for the barn swallow here. And we have the food, 2 nectar and a rat to drop for the rufous owl here as an option. And there's a killdeer. I wonder if they were holding on to that for a while. Or if they just happened to draw into it now. I'm just going to play my purple martin into the grasslands here, but realize I don't have any eggs. Do I really want to tuck something here? I think I'm going to skip this power. Bonus cards are just really good. Looks like I'm just going to take the draw card action here. I do need a wetland bird, and that belted kingfisher with its star nest is pretty good. Common grackle is interesting. I'm not going to have the card volume to really feed it though. Purple martin is going to be my capstone on my grasslands. So there we grab the belted kingfisher. And the kingfisher also qualifies for wetland scientist. Opponent lays eggs. Here comes the kingfisher. And the barn swallow and the kingfisher with those handy star nests are prime targets for my Meadowlark. And my opponent isn't hurting for ground nests anymore. They don't have any nests in their forest though, so that's... Okay, so there's the robin. So now they can start getting eggs onto their robin through their cuckoo power. So that'll help them compete on the wrong goal. Especially if they're getting 2 eggs every time I lay eggs myself. Thinking about discarding this grackle here. I decide not to. Setting up my eggs for the wrong goal. Gonna tuck the grackle. Thinking about the red-tailed hawk. Take one off the top and get snow bunting. Grabbing a nectar from the crow here. And I'm just going to say to heck with it, and I'm just going to hand out these eggs. Going full egg spam. Everyone gets eggs. Black-throated diver is good for my wetland scientist card. Decent 5-point body. Opponent lays eggs. And having a look at their board, they have plenty of egg space open. So I'm kind of looking forward here and thinking too that I could get to the point where I've handed them so many eggs that their nests are full and they can't take advantage of the Meadowlark or the Cuckoo and still get maximum value off their lay egg action themselves. So I'm just kind of going full power Grasslands here and not really worrying about their ability to gain eggs off of my powers. So I decided to lay eggs here, spending the Nectar. And I'm seeing now I was focused on the wrong goal. If I had played the Martin, I would have had to sacrifice position on the wrong goal. So holding off on that 2-point bird, that would have been a 0-point play and potentially cost me even more points by coming in second or not qualifying at all for the wrong goal. Gaining a worm off the crow. Collared dove is an interesting bird, but we're just not going to have the room in our grasslands for it. I'm just going to grab it anyway. Good tucking fodder. Got a tie there. My opponent benefiting from the egg-laying powers of the Meadowlark and their Cuckoo to stay competitive on that round goal. So I decided to take the gain food action here. I need a high volume of food in a short amount of turns. Reroll is kind of janky, no Nectar here. Reed Warbler qualifies for the bonus card. Could definitely do Reed Warbler into bunting. Opponent gains some food, scooping up the Nectar that's available. Going to do a double play here. Reed Warbler into bunting. If I could get the Corsican Nuthatch down, I have plenty of turns to accumulate 2 Nectar. That would give me a second field column. And there my opponent plays 2E. So now they're going to start playing catch up on the Nectar game, which I've been commanding here pretty well so far. 5, 4, and 3 between the various habitats. My opponent has 3, 0, and 0. So they really need that 2E to copy my Lorikeet. That's kind of a painful moment when I see that and realize what's about to happen. I gotta get this Purple Martin down and start hammering this Grassland. Opponent rerolls the bird feeder. There's no Nectar available. Get a tuck off the snow bunting. Nothing too amazing in the tray. The hermit thrush is a good bomb. Could get that down for the round goal. Does cost 3 food. Spreading my eggs around in case of a potential oologist here. Gonna let the hermit thrush go. Cowbird. Glad I drew that instead of my opponent. And I'm going to start working on gaining that Nectar for the Corsican Nuthatch. And we're just handing out the eggs. Spotted Owl is good. Black Swan is good. I could play the Spotted Owl instead of the Nuthatch here. Gotta keep our eyes out for a third wetland bird to get our minimum points off Wetland Scientist. Opponent is vacuuming up a ton of food. Get another cycle off the snow bunting. Looks like they're leaning on their robin. Thinking about the black swan here more as a deny than using it myself. Decide to leave it in the tray. Spamming those eggs. Tucking those cards. Glad I drew the merganser, not my opponent, although it is getting late in the game here. Entering the end of round 3. Getting the second nectar for a bonus card bird. And we get a lucky Imperial Eagle off the white stork. I can't play it, but my opponent will not be able to get it now because we drew it. So I'd rather have that than anything. There is the American Woodcock in the tray though, still a good bomb for my opponent to grab if they want. And they played a wetland bird, so I got a free fish here. And the black Noddy shows up. Good 9-point bomb. Gonna throw down this spotted owl. See what bonus card we get. Platform builder and large bird specialist. Rufous owl qualifies for large bird. I'm already getting the 4 points off platform builder, so I'm going to go with the guaranteed points. Because I'm not sure I'm actually going to be able to get the food to play the Rufous Owl here. Kind of at the point where I want to leverage my Grassland engine, and that 1 nectar per turn might not be enough to get the owl down. My opponent plays Gala. So we got some free nectar coming our way, and the snow bunting is definitely going to get some work. Let the poor eagle go. Scoop up the woodcock. And plenty of tucking fodder. So I'm going to want to grab some nectar. Oh, this is the end of the round. So, should go wheat here for the nuthatch. Yep. Thinking about it pretty hard. And an Australian raven doesn't look too bad. Common merganser might also not be bad for our bonus card, but I don't think twice about that. Kingrail shows up. And we do get a free wheat, and we get to deny a nectar in the process. And that's a really good position to be in, because my opponent can't just grab nectar out of the bird feeder, and I can get nectar from my crow. Here we get another cycle off the snow bunting. So we're getting some parasitic powers off my opponent's grassland, just like they're getting some off of mine. And I am going to grab the merganser here off the bunting cycle. So it looks like my opponent grabbed that Kingrail. Rybill shows up in the tray, but that's gone. So opponent manages to win the filled columns run goal. So they're doing a really good job of being competitive there. And I have the food to throw down the merganser. And I'm starting to get tight on nest space, so that could be a pretty good play. We also have the food for the nuthatch, though its small nest is not super amazing. We're really deciding on what my round 4 is going to look like. Definitely want to get the merganser and the nuthatch down if at all possible. And then probably just spam eggs for the rest of the game. And my opponent hasn't managed to really establish a big-time point-scoring engine. But with the Gala and the Woodpecker, they could be scoring some good points here. And they can always copy my Lorikeet with their Tui on their gain food action. So they're not out of the game yet. Thinking real hard about this merganser. It's going to be a net 6-point play after the egg cost. And here comes the nuthatch. And I think I have to gain a food here. I am going to play it. Wildlife Gardener. It's kind of a bad draw. So, yeah, I'm going to deny the reroll here on the bird feeder. My opponent's going to have to take a fish or a rat before they can reroll. And if we could find one cup nest bird here, that would get us some decent points on the Wildlife Gardener. Plenty of nectar in the bird feeder. The round 4 goal favors us pretty well. Got that max Grasslands. And probably going to let the Raven go here. Not going to have a lot of extra food on hand to cash. I'm actually going to let the owl go here. Interesting. So yeah, I'm not, at this point I'm not betting on getting the food together in order to play the owl. I'm looking at getting the merganser down and the woodcock as well, and then just spamming eggs. The owl being a 7-point bird compared to the woodcock being a 9-point bird. Rufus has really good power, but I'm not going to be leveraging my forest that much here. And the Raven has potential to scoop up a couple extra points at the end of the game if I happen to have some extra food left over. Here we're running the Grasslands. No, don't want to let the merganser go. We're going to let the house sparrow go. Pileated. Late in the game for that. Another bonus card bird. So I could just gain 1 nectar here, and I can get this Cassin's Finch down, and it is a cup nest bird for Wildlife Gardener. Some decent choices here. Looking at the fish crow, European goldfinch pops up. Watching this back, I should have denied the eastern bluebird, because my opponent can draw that and then do a double play into the Grasslands to tie me on the wrong goal. They have a ton of food, including 4 nectar. And speaking of nectar, we're continuing to dominate the nectar points here. Let the fish crow go here. I do let the woodcock go, so I'm not banking on getting the food together for it. Grabbing the European goldfinch. Cassin's Finch has to go down at some point. I only have 4 nest spaces left, so getting the finch down is going to help expand my nest capacity. And I was going to say, I'm realizing that I don't have the nest space here. So we're going to force down the Cassin's Finch. Thinking about it pretty hard. And going to throw it on the merganser instead. Using the fish and the rat. Smart use of food here. I think I'm looking at the nectar points here. Oh, my opponent plays a Bliss Hornbill, so that's a good bomb from them. And they're spending all their nectar into their forest, which is my strongest habitat for nectar points, so they've been able to climb back into the nectar game, but it's been such a high bar for them because of my Rainbow Lorikeet going down early that they're probably not going to be able to compete on the Grasslands or the wetlands here. So I do throw the merganser down, expanding my nest capacity by 4, using the rat in the fish. I could gain another nectar off my crow here and get the Cassin's finch down and work on securing and raising that bar just a little bit higher for my opponent in the forest for the nectar points. So if I get another nectar and play that finch, I'll be tying them on the nectar points in the forest. And there's a double play for my opponent, Savannah Sparrow, into, I think that was a little bustard. So they didn't even need the bluebird. Yeah, fish crow can go, and honestly the goldfinch can go. It does have a cup nest, but there's only 2 more activations left in the game. Goldfinch is too expensive. Nothing amazing popping up, no Benelli. Just handing out more and more eggs. Deny that prairie chicken, although my opponent has a full grasslands here, so it doesn't matter. Scoring plenty of points off my bonus cards here. The finch will get another bonus card and get us on the minimum points for Wildlife Gardener. Another cycle on the snow bunting. Ibis, not going to be used. Here comes the Cassin's finch. Broadening out our nest capacity some more, scoring more points. 8-point ecologist, huge play. 4-point bird picks up 3 points on Wildlife Gardener and scores an 8-point bonus card on top of it. Huge play. That's that bonus card meta in Oceania. Another wheat. Not going to be able to use it, but we'll deny the nectar out of the bird feeder. Opponent has no activations left. So in the case of a tie, that wheat will help us break the tie. One last cycle off the bunting. Cockapoo. That free wheat makes the Cockapoo very dangerous here, but we only have 1 activation left, so Cockapoo's not going down. That's a big bummer. And just gonna lay some eggs here to end the game. Who said egg spam was dead in Oceania? There's the mini Benelli, northern goshawk. Don't have to spend the egg here. 2 more eggs off the Meadowlark. And nothing crazy off the white stork. So my opponent managed to tie the wrong goal here. That's pretty impressive. Kind of came out of nowhere. They needed that. So we tied, came back and tied the forest nectar. And we handily win the grassland nectar. And we also win the wetland nectars. Very strong nectar performance here. Alright, if you like that OE egg spam action, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. We've had great growth over the last couple weeks. And we pull way ahead on bonus card points. Eggs, I should pull ahead on this, although my opponent did okay as well. Oh yeah, 31. Did really well on eggs. Even on tucks, and the nectar points are going to bring it home. 142 to 113, my highest score in Oceania so far, thanks to the no goal in round 1, which is classic awesomeness. 3-point wetland scientist, 4-point platform builder, 4-point wildlife gardener, and 8-point ecologist. My opponent had citizen scientist, and a 3-point viticulturalist. I think they had 3 points on the citizen scientist. So, all right. Thanks for watching, everybody.